Всем доброе утро. Всем привет.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, everyone.
Тучи над парком Горького.
Even though it's getting more and more cloudy over Gorky Park,
Плохая погода
but
начинается
the
снова.
bad weather is going away, the sun seems to be
Наверное,
back,
общее положение в кибербезе.
and this is how can we state the current status of cyber
Опасно.
security situation. It's pretty complicated. It's dangerous. Hi all, my name is Ilya Kotsuba. I work with Gazprom Bank.
Моей деятельности это
One of the areas of core expertise is asset management and stock taking of these IT assets.
утечки и инвентаризация. Это две
It's about leaks and stock taking, inventory of IT assets. These are pretty relevant topics for today.
в целом. Расскажу о том,
Overall,
что можно делать с утечками,
I
как
will share some facts as to how do we deal with leaks,
есть их причины.
what to do, what is the status, what are the technical reasons for such leaks,
Одном из
and I will
способов,
share
минимизации.
a way to mitigate and minimize these leaks. Let's get started then.
Начнем. Супер. Ну, по самым разным данным,
Great.
все и так понимают, что утечки, они происходили.
According to various data sources, everyone knows that leaks do happen. They do occur.
Какие-то баснословные, только за последний год.
And the figures are exorbitant, skyrocketing. Over the last year alone, the number of compromised cases
Изучали разную статистику,
in Russia
какую-то свою статистику,
increased
и цифры, они очень
3
сильно
times.
разнятся. Да,
And the figures vary by source significantly.
организация
The state does respond to that as a fintech institution.
от регуляторов. Их
We
всё
comply
больше и больше.
with
Ну, в целом это правильно.
regulations set forth by the state. That's all right. There needs to be motivation. Cybersecurity needs to be incentivized, and we need to be responsible for that. Unfortunately, data leaked over the last year alone, they already built a base, a profile for a number of Russian nationals. And as you know, these are being used in fake call centers where criminals pretend to be bank employees. They impersonate employees, key employees of enterprises, thus shaping some attack vectors. The question is then, we have leaks, right?
Снова история с кликером. Так, одну секунду.
Again, we have an issue with the clicker.
Они происходят.
There are leaks. They happen. They've always
У
happened.
меня не переключается слайд.
Dear tech team, I couldn't switch slides. Please help.
Да.
Right.
Утечки, они происходили, в них содержатся самые разные данные.
Leaks
И вопрос открытый.
have always occurred, and they contain various types of data. The question is this: how do we deal with that? As a representative of cybersecurity unit with your company, there are various opinions. Some people just download that, they feel horrified and delete that file. But what if these leaks contain information as to your employees, as your partners, as your customers, and even worse, about top managers? And if this employee is a system administrator, and what if it so happened that they use a domain password in their personal services with slight changes to the password? It also happens. The open question is, how do we deal with that? We can analyze that. We can view such leaks. And so the slides wouldn't switch again. Can I please get a different clicker? Because I'm going to have some animated slides. So there are a variety of things you can do about that. And we do believe the following. Colleagues, please help. Could you please replace the clicker? No, go back. Please go back. I can't say next slide, please, every single time. I need the clicker to work. Hold on for a second. How do I deal with that? What should I do?
Просто
Could you
мне
please suggest something that I should do? I need to be clicking slides, but I can't.
Excuse-moi.
Excuse me?
Села. Классика.
Probably it has a dead battery, the classical case.
Так, ну, в общем, пока меняют кликер, да.
Right,
слова.
as we're now replacing the clicker, I will
Разные бытуют
describe
мнения, мы с вами,
the opinions in a nutshell. There are a variety of opinions. We all are members of various
кто-то на них реагирует,
industry-specific chats. Some people respond to these leaks, some people analyze these leaks, some people analyze these and download these leaks at the very first moment and looking for passwords
там, в случае, если
of their employees.
да,
If the OWA is open, this is a way to
мы
prevent
тоже как бы придерживаемся к тому,
associated attacks. We also stick to the opinion that
всю историю анализировать,
this whole story can be analyzed
брать в работу.
and we can work with that.
Так, я теперь без всего.
I now have
Ну, в общем, да. Меня
nothing.
автоматически перевели на следующий слайд.
I was automatically
Знаете,
moved to the face palm
чатиком,
slide, which is the next slide. Getting back to the chats, we discuss leaks with fellow information security people.
заходит речь о причинах, да, ну, то есть
When
могут
it comes to the reasons why, they can get in,
какие-то другие причины.
download everything.
Но нередко
There
я
may be
слышу,
other reasons, but I often hear the
следующую
following.
историю. Если
I
мне
hear
кто-то
the
сейчас
following
показывает
story.
кликер, я смогу ее
If
показать на экране.
I'm kindly provided with a clicker again, I will be able to scroll through slides. Colleagues,
Можно кликер, пожалуйста?
can I please have my clicker back?
Всё.
Right.
Так, ну, так, вроде... Вот как хорошо выступать первым, да?
It's so great to be the first speaker. Everything that can possibly go wrong will definitely
Так,
go wrong. Okay,
всю соль шутки испортили.
so you spoiled the whole joke.
Ну, в общем, да.
So actually, yes,
Видна такая история, да, что когда
you
обсуждают...
often observe this situation when it comes to the reasons, and they start asking questions. If you got penetrated from the outside, how do you view yourselves from the outside? They don't. Some people become employees, get employed. They don't often pass on their job duties to the successor. When they leave a company, sometimes priorities are lowered, and they tend to forget things.
Так, ни у кого пальчиковых батареек нету?
Does someone by chance have any AA batteries with you?
Так, ну, идем дальше. Идем дальше, да? На самом деле проблема...
Let's move on.
Это,
The leaks associated problem is an ongoing long trend. They started forcing that over the last year, but the problems are old ones still.
пробиваются все через старые проблемы.
All
да? Это
systems
вызовы нулевого
get
дня.
penetrated through the same old problems, zero-day vulnerabilities. Right.
Коллеги,
Colleagues, please help.
не работает кликер.
My clicker doesn't work,
Нужен.
and I badly need it.
Окей, опять заработал. Так, да.
It
проблемы
started
старые.
working again. The problems are all the same. They are the old
Всё, то, что
ones.
перечислено на экране, это
Everything listed in the screen, in this slide,
известные проблемы. Вот. Но основная из них
are
является, это, конечно,
all problems for
нарушение
everyone to
периметра.
see. But the main problem is not knowing your external, outside perimeter. Would you please help
Пойдем
me?
у нас дальше по маслу.
Hopefully, it will go perfectly well.
О, зелененькая сгорела, а горела красная.
Oh, now the green LED is on. It used to be red.
О, так,
We've got it.
заново, да? Ну, то есть проблемы старые, да?
So we start over again. The problems are old ones still,
которые помечены, да, черным цветом, это
but
как,
the
в
list
принципе, следствие
highlighted
незначительного
in
периметра.
black is
Вот.
a
Но
consequence of
даже
not
подводя
knowing your
небольшую
perimeter.
статистику о том,
As we
а,
crunch some
через что
numbers
обычно
and
пробиваются,
statistics
да, через что
as
заходят,
to
это
how
самого популярного
systems
последнего,
get
это Bittrex, да,
penetrated.
то есть там
Bittrex
в течение
is the
прошлого
latest
года каждый
trend.
месяц, каждую неделю
Over last year, every week, every month, Bittrex would get broken into on a regular basis. These are CMS, database management systems, poorly configured Elasticsearch. These can be incorrectly configured perimeters. These might be insiders as well. Regarding the perimeter structure, I can say the following. If you scan it, this is something you can see. Right. Okay. These are some Cisco Hikvision. CCTV systems can be often left behind and forgotten with the perimeter, and even printers. That's an interesting story. Someone did connect to the free Wi-Fi network, a public Wi-Fi network. You can see that they have a printer available for print. But there are cases where printers are available from the external network, especially if a company has multiple dedicated external IP addresses, and virtually each device has its own IP address. Even worse, with video conferencing systems, they can be accessible from the outside. The worst case is when you have an admin panel. I hope I haven't ruined your eyesight with such a screen vibration. It's a painful story as well. If you use a video conferencing system, and since foreign brands are leaving, you will not be able to install updates or purchase a new one. If criminals have a 0-day vulnerability or 1-day vulnerability if not patched, unfortunately, penetration attacks may be successful, and they can move along horizontally and so forth. An interesting case in point is this. This is a conference room, pretty common for many of you who work in office spaces. What is hidden behind? We see a screen, we see a video conferencing system on the desk. But what can possibly be hidden? Like in the Mafia game, so the city sleeps, the Mafia wakes up. I'm going to share an interesting story. At one of my previous workplaces, that was a long time ago, indeed, it was a small space for rent. There was an employee, a security guard on duty. He came back from a vacation and wasn't able to share quite a lot of pictures and photos. And since he was in charge of the fire prevention situation, he was thinking, oh, I don't want to purchase an external drive. I can go to the server room and get a drive there. What did he do? He took a disk from a RAID array, and everyone comes back the next morning to work, and the system crashed, and no one could see what the reason was. Another case, organizations with a mega horizontal network, and you have external internet at any point. One may stay at work overnight, not SOC, but someone else. And they wouldn't go to sleep, they wanted to view some series, watch some series. They put the NES in a rack, so we can use torrents to download some movies. So at 10, everyone is going to leave. I will be watching movies at 10 p.m. And meanwhile, I'm going to connect the NAS to the internet in the conference room so that I can complete my torrent downloads. What happens? We are connected to both the internet and the local network, to the LAN. The authorization panel becomes available from the outside while everyone sleeps with the security teams. Hackers from some other continent where it's daytime, they can successfully scan that, find this admin panel, they have an exploit for it, and this is one of the potential vectors to get in. Again, how do we understand how can we possibly be protected? You need to know how they see you from the outside. There are multiple opinions on that. We can discuss on it. Advanced groups, they don't need to scan subnetworks 24. They have services available like Census, Shodan, FOFA, FOFA. Using this, you can actually impersonate in quiet mode services running in the subnetwork, the port versions, and so on and so forth. Hackers don't have to use commercial web scanners. Everyone knows they cause a lot of noise along the perimeter. If you keep scanning a port with a vulnerable service, the SOC might raise an incident and it may eventually be patched by an admin. This is normal case. It's easier for hackers in this case because they will using some Google Docs, they will be using services I mentioned earlier. This is a way to minimize attention. Once they're in, and they feel that they're going to get kicked out, they might use a BGP port in a data center. They might send a pre-configured packet and the data center might crash. This is one of the consequences of stock taking. What do you need to take stock of your IT assets? This is a way to see you from the outside. This is a way to see how your SOC work, how your security systems work. Will your SOC see that? Will it block this IP address? Also, stock taking allows you to find subnetworks admins know nothing about, you know nothing about. This is a set of steps to get a better idea of what you look like when seen from the outside. But of course, it's not a silver bullet. Stock taking is one of the tools that helps you to minimize this activity that is going on a daily basis, and we're subject to that activity. So when we come to work on Monday, if you don't have a stock taking system, you can install all these utilities, you can run them, you can build that. It's a set of freeware or shareware services that will allow you to get your IT asset stock taking process started. It's about identifying assets, identifying activity across various ports. In broad strokes, these are some of the freewares: Nmap, Masscan, Rastscan, Nuclei. You can perform scanning in quiet mode. With Nuclei, you have a variety of scripts available on the internet. One of the most relevant ones is for Bittrex. You can add the script, it will crawl across the whole subnetwork and find vulnerabilities. The issue with Bittrex is still relevant even today. Not everyone patches Bittrex. Other scanners, they prioritize either speed or quality, but they can be used all at once, at the same time. Many of you may know this. We'll go back to the crt.sh service, sh. When you enter the second-level domain, this is the case of Google, you can see the certificate dates. It will display all the domain levels, second, third, and fourth. This is about forgotten infrastructure. For some, certificates may be already expired. It's a very useful tool. It has its own API, so much recommended. Another service, Ripe.net. This is the groundbreaking service that helps to to locate your assets on the internet. You can also specify net name. Let's consider the case of Google. You can simply type Google is going to highlight all subnetworks with Google.net name. If you have dedicated subnetworks, not rented out VPS servers, you will be able to highlight your subnetworks. You can use RIPE and autonomous systems. You can take a look at that. Normally, assets do not emerge that often, so you can identify them over a short time, even if your admins know nothing about them. For email addresses specified, you can see email addresses of employees. That's about self-defense. There might be an email address which you shouldn't be sending phishing mails to. This is a case in point. Google. These are Google employees' emails. MXT Toolbox.net is also a Swiss Army knife of its kind. You can use it to check whether DMARC policies are right, SPF records are right. This is something that may potentially help criminals to send emails on your behalf. It has a set of tools you can check DNS information as well. Everyone must have heard about Shodan. There are analogs like Census and FOFA. We can talk about that as well. It's a Chinese search engine. It has a more user-friendly interface. All these services have their own API. You have to pay for that. That's about finding your way around that. This is the case of FOFA. You can find such pages based on this subnetwork. If intruders have an exploit for Citrix, then can find pages where it is displayed. The same for other services. I have listed plenty of services. If you have a team doing IT assets stock taking, you need to automate that somehow. To tell you more, we use such tools as a backup to check the performance of commercial solutions. We will dwell on this later on, but some basic Python automation dovetails pretty well with that. You can run this within the same container. And this gets you started with the process. Do you need enterprise? Do you need an enterprise-grade solution? Winston Churchill was quite right about that. It is perfectly valid today. You would rather pay for your information security right now rather than having to bear the costs of not doing that. So you would rather consider a corporate-grade solution. Why so? All the previous processes, you can connect them using a single interface, so it can be just a single employee working with that. You can virtually find the same features as with freeware tools, but you need to run some pilot testing because not all solutions will work for you out of the box. We're not going to promote a specific solutions because there are plenty of solutions out there, so I would rather think about that. This is my recommendation. How do we see the process? There is a commercial solution that knows all of your assets and searches for other assets automatically. We're doing some search on our own. The newly identified assets are processed by the vulnerability scanner. You create incidents for admins to patch the forgotten infrastructure. Run some tests. You check your infrastructure using freeware tools. These are the utilities
сказал выше,
I mentioned earlier.
в режиме с разрешением на фаерволе и без разрешения, чтобы понимать
You can do that both with a permission
ту или иную активность.
set up with your firewall and without it to see how it responds.
Проверить ISOC и
This is a way to test your SOC and information security systems. And you can set up
такой вброс
a
сделать, да,
process that works.
за утечки персональных данных,
So, this is a piece of news. Citizens may
чтобы этого не допустить.
incur fines for leaks of their personal data.
Ну да, новость, естественно, это фейк.
Of course, it's fake news from Panorama, a fake news
Новости с панорамой однажды
channel.
становятся
As people say, news from this fake news Panorama channel one day become reality.
на этом я позволю
That would be it for my part.
себе. Остается там несколько минут для вопросов.
We may have several more minutes for Q&A.
Рассказал что-то полезное.
I hope my presentation has been useful.
Окей.
Let that be me. Okay.
Что-нибудь такое жесткое.
Let's go hardcore right away.
Здравствуйте, Виктор Виноградов.
Hello,
компания
my name is Victor
DataSpace.
Vinogradov, DataSpace.
Следующий вопрос. Вы много рассказали про
Next
автоматизацию,
question.
да, про
You
то,
talked
как
a lot
вы это
about
делаете, да,
automation, the way you do it,
но
the
самая
tools you
большая
use.
проблема в любой
But the most painful,
инвентаризации
the greatest pains of stock taking IT assets is where do you keep stock of that? How does it work? What is the structure? And how do you keep track of the changes? And what does the process look like within your perimeter? Thank you for this good question. Answer.
Ну, я скажу сразу, да, такой небольшой спойлер.
Let me tell you right away. This is a spoiler.
Коммерческое решение,
Spoiler alert. We have a commercial solution, probably multiple commercial solutions.
множество. Вот все то, что я перечислил из бесплатного, оно
All
автоматизировано.
The tools I've listed, these are freeware,
Но оно работает, оно подводит
so
свою аналитику,
they are
свою
automated,
экспертизу,
even with some workarounds,
отвечают за направление, связанное
so-called
с,
crutches. So
инвентаризацией
we have dedicated employees in charge of
в общем,
stock taking of external IT assets. There is some visual work to do,
и наши средства, и
but
купленные
mainly
средства, они сигнализируют о том,
our own tools and
мы выявили,
licensed tools
например,
signal
неподключенные
that
аппараты, да, прям на почту
we
приходят.
have identified unpatched
Там, например,
systems, and you get an email notification. So, and you have this phone for the SOC employee,
или там 10
alerting them of the vulnerability. If you have
очень сильно не поработаешь, да, тебе нужно именно надеяться на автоматику.
tens of thousands of these, you need some automation. You need to rely on automation.
Результаты с другими.
You need to match one type of results with a different set of results.
Этого, как говорится,
You can handle this manually. This is the starting point for you.
Если я ответил не очень подробно, могу, наверное, попозже.
If my response wasn't detailed enough, I can provide
Да, это
clarifications. When you have large assets, that's the greatest of pains. When you have lots of assets, you have to
и искать среди, кстати,
spend a lot of time working with the results.
кто-то будет пилотить.
And there is a positive side to it. If you are going to pilot a solution for external perimeter stock taking, you're going to have quite a lot of false positives. Some of the results may not actually be assets,
Середину искать.
and you need to find the gold medium.
Как-то так.
This is how it goes.
Что-нибудь еще? Да.
Anything else?
Спасибо большое за информацию. Меня зовут Олег, Евраз Холдинг.
Thank you for this information. My name is Oleg, Yevraz Holding.
Про
In your presentation, you haven't mentioned endpoint and EDR systems that are going to be increasingly popular for stock taking, inventory taking systems, and for identification of lasting, ongoing attacks. Yes,
Сказать, да, у нас был упор.
we could have mentioned that we had 30 minutes at our disposal. No matter how large an organization is, whether it's a small, medium-sized, or large organization, you can start with a freeware solution. There are plenty of enterprise-grade solutions.
Для них инвентаризация внешнего периметра это будет не
Stock taking of external perimeter is not going to be the main thing for them. We refer to the external perimeter only.
такие решения тоже существуют.
But yes, such solutions do exist as well.
С этим столкнулись.
If you give it some thought, you're going to face a situation of that kind.
С нуля начать, да, когда у тебя нету рядом.
And my presentation was about how do you start from scratch when you don't have a licensed enterprise-grade solution. And we seem to be running out of time, or not. Or do we have any more questions? So I have some
Когда начинаешь,
lights in my face, can't see you well enough. When you get started, the good question is, how do you avoid mistakes and errors? Could you please elaborate on your question?
процесс он выстраивается методом проб и ошибок.
Not making
Какие
a
бывают ошибки в начале
mistake where
организации,
each
мы
process
вот
gets
так вот делать не стоит.
established by trial and error. What's your opinion? Answer. You need to learn the Nmap syntax pretty well. I one day crashed the data center when I decided to perform stock taking of everything. You need to learn the frameworks I listed before. If you use a gigabit channel, everyone will notice the impact. This is an alternative to cloud-based services such as Census and Shadow, if you have such an opportunity. Moving on, yes, there will be mistakes along the way in any case, but it's a continuous work process. Hello, thank you for your answers. My name is Nikolai, double GIS. That's the company name. Different companies have different approaches to stock taking of IT assets. And there is this struggle in some companies between the security department that says, dear IT colleagues, this is your process. And the IT people say, no, dear security people, it's your process, because it's in your best interest to control any services on the perimeter. I would like to hear your opinion. Answer. Yes, that's a huge struggle. The larger the infrastructure, the bitter this opposition is between the IT people and the IT security people. Of course, you need to find some approaches to that. Frankly speaking, it's not going to be cool. Okay, you tell them that we have vulnerable service, we are the business, we accept the risk, and you turn the blind eye on it. It's not good. It's about soft skills and dealing with people, about facing that as well. The dialogue is there. You need to put your thoughts in a proper way. You need to specify deadlines for fixing such vulnerabilities. It is regulated by a set of internal in-company documents. How often do you release patches and updates? It's about dialogue. Next question, please. Hello, my question is as follows.
Насколько правильно выдают информацию от различные сервисы?
Well, there are a variety of services which perform scans from abroad. So from abroad it might be open, while it might be closed, but might be open nationally. And the results differ significantly. Yes, I mentioned that in the last slide, so it would be a good idea to use two scanning nodes. If you perform a self-scan, if you have some VPS service abroad and another one in Russia, it's either you have a permission configured with your firewall or not. And the results differ quite a lot. Even with Shodan, if I'm not mistaken, it became worse. The assets are increasingly less available. They changed the engine, they tweaked it quite a bit, and they're not good at passing HTTP queries any longer. So the problems are there, they do exist. That's it. Thank you very much.